Hey everybody, I think you can see me right now, right? Oh, okay. I'm live right now. So hey everybody, welcome to see you back at our catch up as usual. Apologies, I'm a little bit late, but I wanted to find out, do you know what are the five major trends that we're seeing for 2023? You know, we're going to be each hitting the end of the first quarter soon, and we can already see how the year is going to be shaping up, right? And you may want to position yourself, right? So according to you, what is your opinion? So where do you think we are at the moment, right? So how can you position so that you take advantage of what is actually happening right now? This is the question I want to discuss with you today. So if you don't know me, if you're new to us, my name is Tony T. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. We are your global clean energy champions. What we do is very simple. We demystify the renewable energy sector for you. And I know the topic today will be of interest, right? Because usually, especially if you're a business or a professional, you're always looking at what is the trend? How are things shaping up? How can I position myself? Can I benefit from what's happening? Or am I at risk? If I'm at risk, how do I correct course? This is what I want to talk to you about, right? But before we dive into that, let me just say that we are broadcasting from 5 platforms. We're very proud to be doing that. We've been doing that now for a few months. And you probably know that right now, right? There's 5 platforms. You have YouTube, you have Facebook, you have LinkedIn, you have Telegram, and you have Twitter, isn't it, right? So you can watch us from any of those platforms. And what I want you to do is subscribe at least to one of them. Ideally, I want you to connect to all of them. Why? Simply because if you connect to all of them, there's 5 times more chances that you don't miss our videos, right? Our live, and you can also attend and ask questions because I'm here for you to respond to questions, right? I know some sessions could be pre-recorded, but this one is live. If you want to ask me a question, just sit there, watch me do the presentation, and after that, fire me with a question and I'll respond to that. We're aiming to be between 20 and 30 minutes, no more than that. And after that, we can give you your time back. Is it okay? Excellent. So once you subscribe, if you haven't done it yet, now is the time to do it. So once you've done it, what I'd like you to do is just to send me a comment, send me a question, say hello, right? And I respond back. Yeah, just for me to know that I'm not just talking to myself because, hey, listen, the information I have it already, right? So I think it's of no benefit for me to just do this live if you guys don't connect. And if you connect, just let me know that you've connected. Do engage. Because if you engage and I know you, I see your question, I know, hey, somebody's watching me, they want to have this question and they respond to that. Even if you catch it on the recording, that's not a problem. Still drop your question, and I will still remember, and I will still make sure that I respond, isn't it? Okay, good. So the third thing I like you to do is to share the video. Why do you want to share? Can somebody tell me? It's very easy. It's because the information I'm sharing sometimes it's not easily available, or it may be available. People don't just have time to read it. And the thing that okay, if I'm just listening to Tony making this presentation, a short live video, then I can absorb it, understand it, and I can progress. I don't need to read it. I make it very easy and simple for you to get it. Does it make sense? Excellent. Now we're going to be diving in the topic of today. Again, as I say, we're now in March, we passed mid-March 2023. Now the end of the quarter, it's coming soon. In the next 10 days or so, we're there. Now the question is, usually the first quarter tends to be setting the trend for what's going to happen for the rest of the year. So have you been able to catch this trend? Do you understand what's happening? If you were wanted to be a little bit cautious because you wanted to see how things shaping up before you can firm up the plan that you made end of 2022, that's the reason you want to watch me right now. That's the one you want to listen to me right now. And that's the reason you want to ask your question. And I'll be more than happy and delighted to answer to that. Have you been able to catch any of the trends? If yes, can you tell me what is that? I can see somebody is joining against Emmanuel Nwanja. That's great for you to see you, Emmanuel. So as you can see, like I say, so we're live. That's why I'm able to mention your name. Excellent. That's great. Yeah, excellent. So let me just talk about those trends, and you could see what's happening. So basically, I could have talked about many trends that I've noticed and I've read about and I've researched, right? But I wanted just to stop to 5, simply because, yeah, otherwise we're here till end of the evening, right? So, but I know that you have important things to do for your life, my life as well. I just limit that to 5, And what I can tell you is definitely make sure that you reach out to me. We're gonna talk about the other five, yeah. That I think I can mention about 10. Okay, the first one I want to talk to you about, which is the first trend that I have observed. You want to make sure that you take note of this one because it's very important. Is the fact that component prices are in decline again, yeah, but they don't necessarily translate into lower capex for projects because it takes time before things can be translated into low capex, and also because if it's decreasing, you want to check that something else is not increasing, and we're going to see that later. So the reason is important because after 2 years of tight supply, so supply chain dynamics, raw material and shipping costs now they're on the decline again. Yeah, because you probably know that, and that clearly will have an impact on solar, on wind, of energy storage, component prices. Yeah, definitely. Because you probably know that, during the pandemic, the global shipping cost was quite high, right? Because there was a lot of backlog there, and there was a serious disruption. Now we sort of the situation is resolving itself, getting better, and you have now shipping costs that are pretty much back at pre-pandemic level, right? So, but as I say, it doesn't translate yet into lower capex for renewable energy because there's some other component that get into that. Example, when you're having a project, solar project, a wind project, you also need to look at the land access and also the grid connection. And at the moment, they are proving to be one of the biggest bottleneck for the industry, right? And this will have unintended consequences, especially on the development side, right? Because when you're having a solar wind project, you have the EPC cost and the development cost, right? So just to make it simple, and the financing cost as well. Yeah. So for the development cost, you have investor. What they're looking to do is to deploy capital into markets where the supply of grid connection is insufficient, right? Because that's where want to have the renewable. And investors, they are quite keen on getting things to go faster, right? So they happy sometimes to pay premium, for construction ready projects so that they can connect very, very, very quickly. Why? Because the more you wait, the more you expose yourself to a potential problem. Yeah. And another major cost as well, it's that has risen compared to the cost of the material that has dropped. It's the cost of the construction labor. There's clearly a shortage of skilled workers, right? And this is pushing the costs above inflation, in most of the active market. So this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you, it's important because I say you want to share this kind of information with people because you may be somebody looking to get into solar or into wind. You may know somebody want to get into that. What I'm saying, there's skill shortages, right? Now the question you want to find out, okay, where are the active market for position myself, right? We're gonna talk about that in a minute, right? You see where are they? I would say pretty much all market where you have solar. These comments in terms of the labor, the skill worker would be interesting for you. But okay, there's market that are much more buoyant than others, right? So the second trend that has been building up, right? So I'm looking to get that as quickly as possible, but I don't want to spend time we can literally spend hours talking about that, detail it, but that's not the whole point here, right? So the second trend that I want to talk about here, it's the build out of local manufacturing for solar and battery, especially pay attention, US and Europe. That's clearly two key active markets, right? And because what we've seen actually, it's the uh, the uh, the energy security has become a major issue, right? Because of Russia-Ukraine war, because of COVID, so many other things. So clearly, people understood that they needed to boost, and also the environmental issues, right? They wanted to boost the renewable energy sector, but obviously, and they're doing it because the sector is clearly on the move. But now the challenge is most of the manufacturing is still in China. For example, we take a solar, both the panels and the various component of the BOS. So which is the what's the name again? It's a bit of system. for I think for all of a sudden I'm having a blank what yours balance of the system. Yeah, the panel of the balance of the system. A lot of it will come from Asia, especially China, where you have pretty much 50-60% of the supply market, right? Which is not great enough. We could see with the issue of COVID, sort of the country disrupting the all other region. On top of that, you're adding as well the energy security demand concerns and also the strong demand. Clearly, Europe and US they made some policy changes in order to fast track the uh, the uh, the local manufacturing, right? So the lockdown, the geopolitical events, yeah. So they wreak havoc into the supply chain for energy supply. So clearly, energy security is very top, and that has been clearly demonstrated by two key policies for those two markets. In the US, so you have I think I mentioned in other video, the Reduction Act, the RIA, which is unleashing a whole range of tax incentives, tax credit, you know, for many clean energy technologies, and clearly encouraging local manufacturing, and clearly that is significant. Yeah, and in Europe as well, what you have is the renewable energy power Europe, the repower EU. That clearly has been boosted the market significantly. And to this effect, let me just show you a couple of graphs just to illustrate what I'm talking about, and it give you a better understanding. So if we look at, for example, what we have here in Europe, right? You can look at, we are in 2023, obviously. You can look at the demand versus the cell manufacturing, and look at how the demand is growing, right? So clearly more than doubling here. If you look at between where we are right now in 2030, yeah, and you see as well how the cell manufacturing capacity is planned to be ramp up. So it shows you the capacity here. Clearly, Europe wanting to localize, manufacturing, and attract as well manufacturers so that they can do that in Europe as well, right? And this is the same kind of picture we also seeing for North America, especially in the US, where you have, if you compare the demand in blue versus the cell manufacturing, you can see as well how it is increasing. And you can see that the cell manufacturing is really actually shaped up in America, especially to really absorb the local demand, right? That's why they say the the industry growing strongly in this market, and they want to make sure that they can do that, at home, right? So you could see by 2030, pretty much on par the demand and the supply chain. So this is something. So that means if you are in the US, so that means yeah, you want to be take advantage of that, right? So if you're a manufacturer in the US, if you have some demand, look at how the market is going to be growing. That's good news for you, right? For people that want to move there, localize their hey, see what's coming up already so that you can position yourself. Do you have skills? Do you have service that respond to these insight, to these challenges, to this opportunity? If you are, I bet you want to make sure you get people to get to know you. So how would you do that? Let me just give you a hint. Conferences, go there, meet people, talk to them, engage with them. Yeah. And you'll be able to figure out how you can plug yourself into this fantastic opportunity. Yeah. So that is what I wanted to share with you for now. So let me now share the third piece of the third trend that we're seeing is the fact that still, because of those issues I mentioned before, the lockdowns, the geopolitical event, the global supply chain disruption, the environmental concern, the US is also taking center stage now for hydrogen and the carbon capture and utilization storage development, right, through the RIA, which is the Inflation Reduction Act. The US really want to be catching up big time, right? So there's a lot of things happening for the sector in the US. So that means if you're in the US at the moment, you should be excited. So I would be excited for you. In fact, I want to see how I can actually do more in the US because this is a market that is growing, yeah? So that's the, I know some people are going to say, hey, Tony, hang on a second. I thought you say you were renewables in Africa. Hey, first of all, We renewables in Africa, but also renewables in action. And for me, it's very simple. We operate where African is, which is everywhere in the world, right? I'm just joking. Obviously, we're very interested by the American market, so because as I say, is America is really making big moves to really catch up. With the big if you add what the Congress has added to that basically will be going and providing all sorts of support, for the sector over there. So clearly, the US will be a very exciting market, Europe as well, yeah. And the carbon capture and storage clearly is an industry that is gaining momentum. At the moment, it's still very much niche. There's still a lot of conversations happening, not a lot actually being done, but it's about to change, right? Let me share as well um, a picture here where you could see here. So the operational project, up until 2027, and then the announced project, right? So you could see here, obviously, you could see the split, and clearly North America seems to be dominating, and then yeah, and Europe as well. I have to say. So it's gaining is gaining some ground, yeah. So you can see, for example, the announced project, which have been announced not long ago, yeah, and then that's set to happen. Clearly, we had about 116 so far. I think about 50% has been announced as new project, which is actually great for this sector. Why? Because if we're looking at moving toward net zero, the challenge, because you can't just offset all of us in a second the fossil fuel industry like that, right? So, okay, the idea here is to get them to work with technology like CCUS to see how we can accelerate the path towards net zero transition. Yeah. So that's another trend clearly that is on the move and that is coming up, right? For you to know and see. So that was carbon capture. Now let me talk about the other two that we see accelerate on that. So we have as well the uh the nuclear, because energy crisis have give like extension to nuclear, right? So we have about 160 gigawatts of new addition by 2035. You're looking at what has been announced. That's almost 50% more what was built in the past 13 years. The last catastrophe that we see uh, in nuclear, the Fukushima, disaster, sort of almost stopped the sector. So it got Germany to get themselves out of nuclear, and then slow down major project. But with what we had recently, energy security becoming a concern, nuclear is coming back, yeah, in force. 160 gigawatt, more than about 50% of what was announced in 13 years. All of a sudden, it's been forecast for 2035, yeah, and 2025 we're talking about what, 12 years only. So this is to give you an idea of how the sector it's moving on that. So I'm also going to show you a quick picture here very quickly. You can see where I'm showing here addition versus retirement. So clearly the champion will be China, right? Again, and not always, China, this is what you see. So you have a huge, I have David Whitaker. Hey, David, great to see you. Thank you for joining. So yeah, the nuclear is coming. The nuclear mainly will be coming from China, but we also see other countries like South Korea, Russia, Japan. Right, small, but Japan that were the one that was traumatized by the event, the accident that happened. Now they start talking about that. France, the US, United Kingdom, a lot of people talking about nuclear. So that's one of the trends that we see coming back for 2023, and clearly is going to accelerate as we moving forward, right? So the last trend I want to talk to you about, the last step I want to talk to you about, it's the large opportunity that arise from a broader range of clean non-power energy technology. Yeah, we talked about especially heat pump. Because I don't know if you know, but half of the total final energy is consumed in the form of heat. This is versus 20% for power generation and 30% for transport. But if you look at what we have at the moment in the picture, we only have 11% of the heat that is produced using modern renewable. It's much lower than the share in power generation. And I know, and also I'm probably guilty of that as well. So usually when we talk about renewables, many of us will give the impression to other people that it's only power generation, where it's not. Yeah. As I say, 50% is form of heat, 20% only power generation, and 30% transport. And in fact, you have a much higher penetration of renewables in power generation, but very low when it comes to transport and also the heat. And then clearly, this is something that is shaped to be changing coming forward. Yeah, because why the share of renewables has tripled in power generation in the past decade, the share of heat has barely grown by a third. But what's happening is you have the rising gas prices and the concern about fossil fuel dependence. They kind of brought heat sharply back into policy focus. And this is creating opportunity for a wide range of technologies, that can really help to accelerate the decarbonization of heat. Heat pump will play a role so in that transformation, especially in the building sector. Uh, so building heating and also low temperature uses. So yeah, so I think if I can give you just a figure on that, I think the annual global heat pump sales, increased by 13%, between 2020 and 2021. And then and by that was annually, and in Europe by 34%. So clearly that was a record that was driven by no policy incentive. I talk about in Europe policy like the Repower EU, RIA in the state. Clearly, so these are the key trends that I could talk to you about. I'm just going to stop here. Like I say, we can literally spend hours and hours talking about it. I just wanted to talk to you about those few ones. Yeah. So I think just for some of you who are catching the conversation on the go, so let me summarize what I talked about. So I talked about first trend, the component prices that are declining, but not yet translating into the capex for renewable energy projects, simply because you have other things that counterbalancing it. For example, land access or grid connection, which are the big bottleneck, seems to be upward, as well as the labor cost, which is also going upward. This is why you don't yet see the drop of component prices reflected in the capex. I also talked about the rapid build out of solar and battery, especially in Europe and also in the US, because of the strong demand and energy security concern. So I talked about the fact that energy crisis is bringing back nuclear into life, right? Because of what's happening. So energy security being a concern. People remember that nuclear, why risky when accident happen, has been quite reliable so far. Yeah, and low emission. Yeah. And lastly, I talked about the opportunity and in clean technology other than power, and I specifically highlighted heat pump. So these are 5 trends, yeah, that's shaping up for 2023. And like I say, feel free to reach out to me. We can talk about 5 other that's I've kind of observed, but I just wanted to give you this flavor so that you understand what we're talking about here. Why is it important? As I say, renewables energy, it's a part of a much bigger industry, which is energy, which sits within economy, which is actually shaped by everything happening around us. So you want to know wherever you operate in the world, in Africa, in Europe, in North America, South America, Asia, you need to understand what are the movement so that you know how to position yourself, right? I mentioned 2 opportunities here. Talk about local manufacturing in Europe and the US. You may be willing to take advantage of that, especially if you're a local manufacturer. You got to know about that. So either you want to manufacture or you're in the supply chain. Yeah, you want to know about that. Or maybe even potential as well, an off-taker. So I talked about the fact that the labor, the skill shortages in those markets. You might want to position yourself. That's the whole point. me, as I'll say, you being aware of what's happening and you being able to position yourself to see how you can take advantage of that. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to say for today. So hopefully it was interesting and that I trust that with what I've told you today, you won't hesitate now to share the video. I don't know how many of you have been watching share that. Don't be selfish. Yeah. If you're selfish, I'll keep this knowledge for me. I keep this knowledge for me. I wouldn't come online. I wouldn't share that with you, right? But I'm doing it. So if I'm doing it, the way for you to pay me back, because yes, I know we have clients come to us. We do a range of things for them, including helping them boost the visibility of the products and services so that they can improve their leads and their sales, right? But we also have some session like that we do for free for you guys, just to give you a flavor. Because if we want to get a lot more people involved, we need to show them where the business here is, where the money here is, and how you take advantage of that. So, and I'm saying as well, so if I'm spending a bit of my time, for come and update you, what I'm asking you in return, just go and update other people. How do you do that? Very simple. There's something called, I click the share button and that's it. It's gone. And people will know about it. That's why I said to share that and share as much as you can. It's free. Yeah. Brilliant. So let me just tap into a couple of questions before I wrap it up, because like I say, I have a busy day. You wouldn't believe it, but like I say, I have at least 2 or 3 proposals that I need to prepare before tomorrow with the team, and I want to crack on that. But I wanted to definitely stop by and share this trend with you because I know you'll be interested. I was interested by that, and I'm interested by that because I also see how I can position myself. But I say, hey, let me also share that so you can see the opportunity like me, yeah, and see how you can take advantage of that. So let me dive into a couple of questions, as I said, and then yeah, we be able to wrap it up. So okay, usually what I do at this point in time, just sharing what I see. So if I show that, so this is come on, did it show? Okay, good. So social sorry, apologies. Hello, nice to join again, Emmanuel. Yeah, pleasure to see you. Excellent. Hello too. Then I had as well David. David say hello. Hey David, hello back. Great to see you. It's been a long time. I've not had we haven't touched base. It'd be good to have a catch up actually. So and then I had so Emmanuel say, hey, here are some questions I'd like to get your thought on. With regard to renewable, especially in Africa, how do carbon impact progress and growth? Okay. So carbon credits. This is very good. This is a very good question. Let me just remove that for now so people continue. Carbon credit is a good question, and because we have said a number of times that if you look at global finance, there's only 2% that go into Africa, not a lot, yeah. And we need a lot more than that. And the idea is, how can we look at alternative source of financing, or maybe new scheme, a new instrument that could be used? Carbon credits happen to be one of them that is being explored. The good thing is there's a number of reflection going in this direction. I think there's even I think Africa Carbon Credit Group that was created last time by the SFRO. I think it was at the last cup or something like that. Yeah, there's some effort going towards this specific initiative. So I believe as well that there is already some scheme happening, but not on the grand, not on the big scale. The challenge sometimes for carbon credit so far, it's the size of the project, but also the verification process. Yeah. First of all, having enough pipeline, having good size and verification process, to be able to tap into the carbon credit, because carbon credit, most of it's been just limited to the, I would say, Western world so far. No, that's not correct. I would say Western world, but also places like India and China, they've benefited. Africa, very much less so, from my knowledge. So yes, it's a real opportunity, one that I'm personally pushing for. But some work needs to be done there, especially in terms of aggregating projects so that we reach the minimum size that will interest investors, but also looking at how can we uh, find a way to verify those one so that we know exactly what they are. So yeah, hopefully that responds to your question, Emmanuel. So let me just look at your second question, which I remember. What are top five recommendations for Africa with respect to Q1? So recommendation, for the sector. That's what you're saying. Yeah. So first of all, the first three recommendations for me would be just tap into those opportunities that don't even five tap into those opportunities I just mentioned. So okay, probably gonna ask me which one is relevant to Africa. So lower component, absolutely relevant to Africa. I'm saying that the component price is dropping, shipping costs dropping. So if I were Africa or developing Africa, you want to take advantage of that. So that means if you're doing the project, that's the time now for you to do the project. You have to run your project. And because you don't know whether the price wouldn't go up again, I don't know. Just take time. And also because a number of them slow down their project or because of COVID, first of all, because of inflation afterwards. But at the same time, there is a need on the ground. People are dying. They require power. So I was in South Africa not long ago, and I'm going back actually end of this coming week, and I'll be in Ghana as well soon, and in Kenya, a few months as well. So yeah, and in all those countries, people need power to be able to function. So I would say take advantage of the component pricing dropping, shipping costs as well. So the second one that I mentioned, local manufacturing, absolutely, that's a big, great opportunity for Africa. We should be looking because people are now looking to diversify, locate those factories away from Asia, China, just to de-risk a bit. Africa should be positioning himself in order for them to really to attract a number of these guys. Say, hey, come to our place. And I know I'm working. Well, I'm talking. Just yet working together. I'm talking to a lady, who's looking to set up a manufacturing facility in Namibia, for example. Yeah, I'm encouraging her to do that. But many other countries could benefit from that. That's what I will be focusing on. The third thing, what is that I mentioned? So I talked about the hydrogen, big opportunity as well for Africa, because especially for the export market, but also for the local market. Export market and places like Namibia, so Egypt, Morocco, South Africa as well, right? Because one of the issue we have in sometimes in the continent is the fact that when you bid in those big projects, because the grid that we have are not solid enough, we don't know how we're going to integrate them here. But if you imagine all those big projects now, part of them you can just refocus them toward the export market to create hydrogen, green hydrogen, because you probably know that, or if you don't know, the process to create hydrogen per se is not new. What is new is the way to produce it so that you decarbonize it. So if you do that with solar wind, that's what you become. It goes from what? It goes from brown hydrogen, to blue hydrogen to green. Yeah. So clearly, big opportunity for Africa that the country gonna be tapping on. Carbon capture and storage, another one. So is it a priority for that one? I would say, yeah, probably it is, because if you look at the challenge in the continent is 75% of power that we use, it's fossil fuel based. So we know that overnight, and there is a strong movement, especially in the continent, that we need to be using our resources to develop. Okay, one of the compromise then that could be found is that, okay, where it needs to be used, which clearly is in some countries, because countries are different, and clearly as well, energy actually is such a big issue. How can we combine that with CCUS, which is not ideal, but hey, like I say, we got to be able as well to talk to one another and find balance to see how things can move forward. The content can position itself here, there. Yeah. So, and renewable heat. So basically, I was just saying, Emmanuel, all those points I've mentioned, those trends, I'm talking about those trends because I'm sure you've understood these are opportunities that Africa can tap into and other places as well. I know you wanted me to highlight the one fit into Africa. The thing is, all of them fit into Africa. And there are many that we can talk about. Yeah, let me take some other questions because I'm going to be here for ages. It's already 35 minutes, so I need to accelerate a bit. So hopefully that's fine. If you have more questions, we can reach out. We can organize a session with you. So how about manufacturing in Nigeria and Ghana? Yeah, obviously it's go without say. So yeah, Ghana and Nigeria can position themselves. So especially in West Africa, Nigeria is the largest economy in the continent. Ghana is definitely one of the major economies in West Africa as well in the continent. Yeah, these are good places. So to create manufacturing, but the key thing is don't create a manufacturer only for the local market. It may not be enough because that's the reason some of the manufacturers don't wanna take up this opportunity because it's not just people always say yeah, I want them to come and build, yeah, but as if if you put yourself into my shoes, I'm a manufacturer. I know it's going to be costing me lots of money, millions and millions to build a plant, right? What I want to know, how am I going to recoup that? Because if I build a plant, I'm going to be manufacturing goods. Where is the market for those goods? I'm not talking about a market for one or two projects, a market for the next 5 or 10 years. And usually the renewable energy market in Africa is still relatively small compared to what it could be, or what is needed for initiative like manufacturing to really take up. Yeah. So that means you need to be thinking in terms of regional market. That's what I would say. Yeah, regional markets. So, for example, if I sit in Nigeria and Ghana, my ambition would be to serve Nigeria and Ghana, but bare minimum West Africa. Yeah. If I look at that, I'm in the right direction, and obviously Africa. So that's what I say. Hopefully, Sandra, you're good with that. So, Emmanuel, Sandra, I'm also interested. That's it. You see, I responded to both of you. So, Emmanuel is saying thank you. Okay, guys, I don't think there's any more question. And also, like I say, so I stay here longer than what I thought, but that's fine. Hopefully it gives you an idea what we're talking about here, and that's for you when you get to know those trends, you know how to position yourself. Yeah, and like I say, don't just take the information, do something with it. The bare minimum, David, Emmanuel, Sandra, all the people watching, the bare minimum, the way for you, the easy way for you to do something with it, just share it with people so that more people will get to know about those trends, whether they're in Africa, Europe, North America. This information, those are trends globally. You want to be looking at that. You want to be seeing how you position yourself. Because I talked about Europe, I talked about the North America, such I talked about Africa and Asia. Guys, this is a global industry. So how do you position yourself? Yeah, that's great. And for those of you who want to find a little bit more, definitely reach out to me. We can have a session. We can go a little bit more in depth, right? And there is more that we can do for you. We certainly will be able to discuss with that. But tell me already in the comments which one of those opportunities I mentioned about would be of interest, particularly to you. Yeah, and that'd be good. That'd be good to know. Because I like to get a sense, a little poll here, straw poll. So what people are thinking about that. Is it okay? Excellent. I talked about 5 opportunity and 5 trends. Just tell me in the comments. So what do you think about them? Which one speaks to you the most? And what are you going to do about it? So that's what I have to say for today. So my name is Tony Teal, founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa, your global clean energy champion. And actually, let me tell you a scoop. Soon, we're going to be moving from renewables in Africa to renewables in action because we want to tackle the whole world to make sure that renewable goes where it should be. Guys, so pleasure to talk to you as usual. So let me just end the video for today. Great conversation we had today. And then, yeah, that energizes me when I can have this interaction with you. So you have a beautiful day and I see you very soon. May the sun be with you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.